Okay, we are going to start our quiz review. So you might have already done the quiz review on paper by yourself. So you can use this video, skip ahead. You could do it with me, or if you want, you can just check your answers, skip to the problems that you need help with. Okay, so first one I have is the square root of 108. So the largest perfect square that goes into 108, we did this on our homework on Wednesday. If I divide 108 by any of my perfect squares, so I'm talking 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, any of those numbers, the largest number that I can divide this by that is a perfect square is 36 times 3. I know the square root of 36 is 6. So 6 goes outside, 3 stays inside because it is not a perfect square and it cannot be simplified by 1. 75. The largest perfect square that goes to 75, you probably know this one, it's 25, right? So I have the square root of 25 times the square root of 3. And the square root of 25 is 5. So I get 5 square root 3. Now, if you notice, I showed the first one underneath the radical, 36 times 3, all underneath the radical. Second one, I showed the square root of 25 times the square root of 3. Those are the same thing. They're interchangeable, okay? So if it's easier for you to look at it like I did on number 2, square root of 25 times square root of 3, then you can do that. All right, for number 3, we have the square root of 72. The largest perfect square that this is divisible by is 36. So 36 times 2 equals 72. And the square root of 36 is 6. So I already had an 8 outside, so I have to multiply what is outside. So 6 times 8, and we get 48 square root 2, because that 2 was left over. It is not a perfect square. It cannot be simplified by 1. 48. Now, this one can be tricky because it is divisible by a lot of different perfect squares. I can divide 48 by 4. I can divide it by 16. 16 is the largest, so that's the one I'm going to go with. If I do the square root of 16 times 3, I will get a 4 on the outside. So I multiply negative 8 times 4 to get negative 32 square root 3. If you chose 4, you would have the square root of 4 times 12, right? We know the square root of 4 is 2. So I still have 2 square root 12. But 12 can be divided by 4. So I can still break this up more. 4 times 3. And the square root of 4 is 2. So outside I have 2 times 2. So I still have 4 square root 3. And I started with a negative 8. And negative 8 times 4 still gives me 32 root 3. So you will get to the same place, but you have to make sure you keep going. If you end up with a 12 underneath, if you end up with an 8 underneath, you have to keep simplifying it. All right, 5 and 6. So we're doing numbers, but now we have variables as well. So we have negative 517 a squared b 4. So we already practiced with our variables on Wednesday. And we know that if it's an even variable, I can divide the variable's exponent by 2. So a squared would be a, and that would go outside. B to the power of 4, 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I have b2 on the outside. Now, 117. I'm not even entirely sure what 117 is divisible by, so I'm going to try my calculator. It ends in a 7, so I'm going to start with 9. 117 divided by 9. I get 13, so that's perfect because 13 is prime. So if I have 9 times 13, the square root of 9 is 3. What did I just do? So I'll have a 3 on the outside, 13 on the inside, and I'm going to do 3 times all of this. So 3 times negative 5, we would get negative 15. A, b squared, square root 13. 252 is a large one, but I think I can divide it by 252. let's try 36. 252 divided by 36. Oh, perfect. All right. So if I have 252, I'm going to use 6 square root. All right, 252 divided by 36 gives me 7. 36 times 7. x5, I'm going to break up with even exponents. I'm breaking off the odd one. So if I break off 1, it's going to be x4 times x. So there's still 5 x's there, but now I just made it so that I can match up my pairs. I'm going to erase the rest of this. Okay, now I have y cubed. So I'm going to say y squared times y. So there's still 1 left over. Now let's go through simplifying underneath the radical. So square root of 36 is 6. So since I already have a 6 outside, I'm going to multiply those to get 36. The square root of 7 cannot simplify, so I'm leaving that. Sorry. So square root of 7 can't be simplified, so that's going to stay underneath the radical. X to the power of 4, we're going to divide the exponent by 2, so we'll have x squared. X does not have a partner, so it stays underneath. Y squared, we divide the exponent by 2, so we just have y1, and then our last y underneath the radical stays. So everything that is left under the radical was 7xy. All right, 7 and 8 were what you should have watched the video for yesterday. So we are combining like radicals. So just to review, if I have the same thing under the radical, I can add the coefficients. If I don't have the same thing, I'm going to simplify them first, then add them together. So 3 root 18 minus 2 root 27 minus 2 root 8. None of those radicals are the same, right? I have a root 18, root 27, root 8. Those are all different numbers. So what I'm going to do first is simplify my radicals and then decide if anything is the same. So square root of 18. 18 is divisible by 9. Anything larger than 9, smaller than 9, I can't divide 18 by. So I'm going to show this as 9 times 2. The square root of 9 is 3. I already had a 3 outside. So 3 times 3. This first one simplifies to 9 square root 2. The second one I have is 27. I can break up 27 as, I'm breaking up 27 as 9 times 3. The square root of 9 is 3, but there's already a 2 outside, a negative 2. So this is going to be negative 2 times 3, and I'm going to get negative 6 square root 3. The last one is 2 square root 8. 8 we're going to break up as 4 times 2. And the square root of 4 is 2. Multiply my outside numbers. Multiply the outside numbers, so negative 2 times 2, and I get negative 4 square root 2. So now they're all simplified, and I do have like radicals, right? I've got 9 root 2 minus 4 root 2. So let's combine those. 9 minus 4, we only combine what's outside. Everything on the inside will stay the same. So 9 minus 4 gives us 5 square root 2. And then I have minus 6 square root 3. It stays there. It's all by itself. All right. Number 8, negative 3 square root 3 plus 2 square root 12 minus square root of 8. So 3 root 3, that cannot be simplified. Square root of 3 is not divisible by any numbers. It's prime. So I'm going to leave that alone. I've got negative 3 square root 3. All right. Next one I have is square root of 12. 12 can be divided by 4. So I've got 4 times 3. Square root of 4 is 2. So on the outside, I've got 2 times 2. So I've got plus 4 square root 3. The last one is minus the square root of 8. So you're going to start seeing a lot of these and you're going to start memorizing them, right? They're going to become more familiar. We just did the square root of 8 on the last one. So I know 8 can be multiplied or divided by, 4 times 2. The square root of 4 is 2. So I have minus 2 square root 2. Now I'm looking to see, do I have any like radicals? And I do. And I only am going to add the coefficients. So I have negative 3 root 3 plus 4 root 3. So I'm just going to say negative 3 plus 4, which is 1 square root 3. And then we're going to bring down the minus 2 square root 2. It cannot be combined, so it just comes with 2, our final answer. 1 root 3 minus 2 root 2. That is it. Like I said, you could go back, rewind, re-record, but you are going to take your quiz. So just do your best. Show all of your work. If you don't know what to do, at least try it. Your quiz is just like the ones for Unit 4. So they're not very long, and it's not going to have a huge impact on your grade, right? It is for me to check in with you